This is The Wally Show, and it's our video podcast number 8. Oh, my goodness. It seems like just 7 times ago this happened. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and we hope you've enjoyed the video podcast. We do these when we are in, like, Pledge Drive so that you get some new content, stuff that we didn't get to talk about on the show, we talk about here, and hopefully you enjoy it and you like the video part of this as well here at allwally.com. So, Katie Rose, what is going on around the world and around us?
Just everything going on. Well, it was in 1976 that a guy named Aaron Fetcher made the Whack-A-Mole, that game.
I love Whack-A-Mole. I do.
You remember when it first came out?
I do. Oh my goodness, that was a game like you'd be at a carnival or at Chuck E. Cheese, and like the mallet was heavier than me as a kid, so I'd go like, fall backwards and then slam down, and you just hit those little moles. And they think that video games cause violence. Quite honestly, Whack-A-Mole was what started our whole violent children trend. To be honest with you.
Well, he had an accident the other day. He was trying to
Please tell me he was hitting the head with a hammer. Please, by a mole. That's all I care about in this story. It better have that as the ending.
I'm going to have to make up the rest of the story. What actually happened, he was trying to make an experimental cooking fuel, and something went wrong, and he blew up the warehouse that he was working in. Oh, no way,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Part of the building, like, collapsed.
Oh, man.
Luckily, he got out, no injuries or anything, but big boom.
Wow, okay. That's
boom.
not as funny as getting hit in the head with a mallet, but still, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big blunder, if you will.
George Zimmerman's wife is actually doing some interviews. Her name's Shelley, and she has some doubts of whether he's innocent in the Trayvon Martin case now.
Oh, wow, really? And now you're just saying this? Yeah. It would have been a good idea for you to come forward with that earlier.
So she's actually making public statements now.
I think anyone would doubt that innocence because I don't know the person that I've been married to.
Yeah, but you know, that's interesting, though. Why do you choose now to bring that out? Why didn't you? I know there was an altercation earlier where she felt he had a gun. It was never proven that he did have a gun, where she felt threatened. So I get all of that. But why do you bring that out now when, you know, there was serious implications of this kid being murdered, you know? And like, why would you not have brought that up then? You know?
She's making it sound like she really had the idea that they were going to rebuild, everything was going to be okay after this, and the guy that she got back home is not the same, that he's very cold, that there's a look in his eyes she's never seen. So
she's saying he's different now than he was before when the Trayvon thing happened then?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of interesting, because you would think that he would have been the same guy, you know, after this, but sometimes you get put in that public eye like that, and maybe it does change you. Yeah, maybe it does change you. I don't know. I can't speak to it, but that's kind of an interesting revelation at this point in time.
Yeah. Bill Gates have been doing some speaking, and you know how, like, if you got a Windows computer, it starts breaking down.
No, I don't have a Windows computer because they stink. No.
But Windows users would know about them breaking down.
Yes, all the time.
But I think Macs have this too. Control-Alt-Delete.
We have Apple Option Escape, way better.
Yeah, totally different.
Way more efficient, too.
You can do it with one hand.
Yeah, you can actually do that. You do, well, no, I don't know. The Escape is hard to get to. I use 2 hands. I do my ring finger and my middle finger on the Apple, and then I reach across and hit Escape with my right hand. So it's definitely not totally efficient. What, can you do it with one hand?
One hand.
Monkey fingers, you can do that with one hand?
You just do it all on the left-hand side.
Oh.
I don't get that.
Well, according to Bill Gates, that was never supposed to be a thing.
Well, good. It's a dumb thing, quite honestly.
We could have had a single button that the guy who did the IBM keyboard design didn't want to give us our single button. We programmed it to the level that you had to do. It was a mistake.
You know, it's kind of funny, like when you hear a billionaire talk, but you still want to make fun of him because he sounds like such a nerd, but he could buy you like 1 billion times over.
What's funny is he's admitting his computers crash so often they needed a dedicated button for that situation.
Yeah, just to fix it. Like, here you go, here's your fix me button. But yeah, I think engineers sometimes try to make things more difficult than they need to be, for sure. They over-engineer things. And I've run into that in radio studios my whole life, where we had this one engineer one time, his idea was to fix our machine, and he had this giant I'm not making this up, it was a giant button. Like, instead, normally on a radio board you have small buttons and you can push them. It's this giant button that you would push almost like a plunger down, like blowing up dynamite, just to do the simplest task. Like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. And so then we started making jokes about it on the air, and we actually hired another engineering company to come in and rewire it for free. Like, we just gave him like tickets and stuff, and he got so mad because like we undid all of his work, and there's no way we should have. Like, you'd get fired for that stuff today, but radio used to be a lot of fun.
There was a 71-year-old woman who started choking in a restaurant, and she actually like passed out. Like, she was choking.
That's scary, man. I have a fear of either my child choking to death or myself choking to death, like, and no one being around. Like,
Not your wife, though.
No,
let him finish.
No, you didn't let me finish because she chews her food so good. I know it's not going to be an issue. My wife actually did choke in a mall food court. She got a cheesesteak sandwich and was choking, and it scared me because like I jumped up and like instantly went to like Heimlich her and stuff like that. And about that time, I'm like mid Heimlich going, she's worth $250 grand. You know, she does have a life insurance policy.
And there is half a cheesesteak sandwich right here.
Exactly. But I did the right thing, popped it out, still happily married all these years later.
Well, luckily this restaurant was actually filled with doctors because there was a conference in town.
Oh, no way.
But they did not do things the easiest way. Like, they didn't jump up and do the Heimlich. They actually saved her by performing a tracheotomy with a pocket knife and a pen.
There's no need for that. That happens in every doctor movie. There's some numbskull at a diner that thinks he can use a butter knife and a pen to save somebody's life with a tracheotomy. These guys are just showing off. They know how to Heimlich. They could have easily gotten this out of her, no problem. But they're like, I don't know. Let's see if we can do it. Like,
watch this.
Yeah, God complex is what these doctors have. They literally used a pocket knife and a pen.
And a pen. By the time the paramedics got there, the woman was already sitting up and talking.
Yeah, with a pin in her throat. Like, that's not necessary. There's no way that was necessary, man. That is absolutely
They check your
amazing.
insurance first to make sure it'd cover that.
Yeah, seriously, man. That's crazy. They probably charged her like $3,000 for that pen, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know what? That's crazy. That's like art, or life imitating art in that case, where I guess that stuff really does happen, man. That's bizarre. And that's all you got?
That's all I got.
Fantastic.
Stop looking at me.
I know. I see that like that smile. Like, hey, let's just sit here and smile at each other and
How's your weekend gonna go?
see who's gonna say what. All right, so that's it. We are done here with the old video podcast. Things resume as normal on Monday, back with the show, and we'll have our audio podcast from the show, waiting for you when we get off the air there. So thank you as always for supporting the Ministry of Way FM and also being there and listening to our little wacky show. So thank you very much, and we'll do this again on Monday. Well, not this. We'll do the show, but not the video thing. You know what I mean. We're just done. I'm tired. It's been a long pledge drive.